All right, so today we talk about self-employment. We're talking about earning an income in this unit, and we've talked about what to do, if you get an inheritance or you get some money given to you for whatever reason. We talked about a little bit about that. We're going to talk about retirement income. We're going to talk about, we've talked about, skills that are important to get a job and to keep a job and to earn a living. We're going to talk a little bit about self-employment today. So you do have a sheet in front of you. Please follow along as you fill in the blanks. Try not to just fill them all in at once and not listen. But as we go through this, please fill in the blanks. So self-employment means that you work for yourself instead of for an employer. When you are self-employed, you start, you own, you manage your own business, or freelance work. So freelance, I don't know if we talk too much about freelance later, but freelance work would be just like work that you're contracted to do kind of on a random basis. So it's like freelance photography or freelance, writer. Okay, if you write for a newspaper or for an online publication, or if you take pictures just every once in a while and someone says, hey, I need you to take pictures of this event, you're a freelance photographer. You work for yourself. Okay, it's freelance work. That's what it's called. Unlike a traditional job where you can earn a salary or an hourly wage from a company, self-employment lets you earn money directly from your own efforts, skills, or products. Okay. In a traditional job, you can earn money from your skills that you are employing in the work, of course, but when it says directly from your own efforts, skills, or products, that means that if you work for another company, usually it's that company that gets paid, and then the company pays you. So there's kind of like a middle person or a middle organization between the payer and you. So when you work for yourself, the money usually comes directly from the payer to you. While it offers freedom and flexibility, often working, having your own employment, self-employed, is a little bit more freedom. You can work when you want. It's a little more flexible. You can work hours that aren't traditional hours. It also means that it comes with extra responsibilities, like managing finances, marketing, which is basically the promotions and the advertisements and all that sort of stuff, and finding clients or customers. Okay, so clients are like customers. Usually in certain professions, you call the people that pay you, or the people that that you work for. Sometimes you call them customers. Sometimes you call them clients. Sometimes they're patients, right? Sometimes they're students. So there's different names for the people that employ you. Okay, so here's example one. So imagine a student who loves creating digital art. Instead of working for a design company, they offer their services online to clients who need logos, social media graphics, or website designs. Okay, that's an example. The student sets their own prices, chooses which projects to take, and works from home or school. If they are successful, they could earn more than a traditional part-time job. But they need to manage invoices, taxes, and deadlines all themselves. Not to mention the promotion and the advertising that actually gets the jobs. And that's the thing, if you have a certain set of skills that that are employable or that people might want to use, it's like getting your name out there and like connecting with possible customers. That's oftentimes the toughest part of doing your own having your own company or doing your own work. Okay? Yes?
I didn't get the sheet.
Okay, come on, get one. Come on, get one. There should have been two there on that table. No, that's yours. Yeah, see there is two there. Yeah, give me that one back. Okay, go sit down. So paying taxes, managing deadlines, etc., etc. That all falls on you if you are owning your own business. But the money that you would make would be more than a traditional job for each job, usually, for each thing you do. But it could be fairly infrequent as well. So you could, like I say, if you're doing digital art for an online client, they may say, I need you to do this one job, and it would take you a couple weeks to do. So you have work for a couple weeks. And you might make a lot of money for a couple weeks, but then you would go 3 months without a job, maybe. Or if you have something that is in demand and you are able to connect with customers, then you might have work lined up for a long time, and you might be able to stay having steady work. But that is a little bit up in the air when you have your own company. Here's an example 2. Example 2, another example is a student who loves baking. So they start a small cupcake business, selling to friends, family, and at local events. The student decides what to bake, how much to charge, and when to sell. Success depends on their effort, creativity, and ability to attract customers. So if they run out of supplies or have no customers one week, their income might drop, unlike a steady paycheck at a store, let's say. So if you're going to start your own business, the upside is, that means the positive part is that you might make a lot more money than you would at a traditional job. The downside is that if there's a flux in work, then you could go for a long period of time without any pay. So there's pros and cons, right? There's positives and negatives to owning your own business. Some people, they say, I have skills, I have energy, I have the ambition, and I'm going to work for myself. I don't want to work for somebody else because I want to be my own boss. And that's great. And a lot of people love that about their self-employment. But some people don't like the fact that, you could work steady for a month and then go 2 months without any work. They don't like that. And sometimes that makes payments for a house or a car or something a little bit tricky. You don't know, you don't have work. It's always a little bit of a stress sometimes. So these are things that you might want to consider, although as a student, going into business for yourself on a small scale might actually be a really good thing. So some of you would have the energy, ambition, and skills maybe to do something small, part-time basis that might be able to make you some money on the side. Maybe you don't work at Canadian Tire or at a bookstore. Maybe you mow lawns or something, or maybe you do landscaping, or maybe you do snow removal in the winter, or maybe you do some computer work. Maybe someone that has a website and they need somebody to manage the website or to update the website. Maybe it's something like that you start small, and then if you get good at it and you like it, then you can maybe grow that area of your life, right? So I would encourage you guys to think about the things that you might be good at or like doing, and to really explore, something like this in the future. All right, so here's some key points, okay? Key points. Flexibility. You can often choose your own schedule and what to work on. So why do people look at self-employment? Flexibility is really important to them. Okay, responsibility. You must manage everything yourself. The money, the marketing, and the quality. If it comes to it, even hiring other workers to help you with this endeavor. So if you have a lawn care company, let's say, and all of a sudden you're working really hard and you've got 3 customers, great, then that turns into 6, then that turns into 10, and you can't yourself do all the work that you've raised. Now you need to maybe think about hiring somebody else. And do you hire them part-time? Are they good workers? Would they be okay with not working, some weeks? There's little things like that you have to consider. But sometimes, depending on what it is, it might actually work out. So risk and reward, income can vary, but successful self-employed people can earn more and gain valuable skills. And then skills gained is another key point. So business, financial, time management, all these skills are developed, running your own business. Okay, so just to pause time out here, a little discussion. Does anyone have a bit of their own business, like a little self-employment that you have on the side that you want to share with us about? Could be babysitting, could be doing mowing lawns, shoveling snow, could be graphic design, website stuff. I don't know. Anybody?
Switch channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's making you money?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And you're managing that okay?
Yep.
Okay. Good. You want to hope to grow that in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Gabe?
Me and Cash do a little bit of reselling.
Reselling? Okay. So what kind of stuff do you resell?
Usually we look for shoes for cheap and sell them for
Oh,
more.
okay. Okay. Online or from where? From the back of your car?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just pull up to the park and crack the back of your trunk open and try and sell to people walking by? Okay. Online?
Online.
Yeah? Okay. Cool. Cool. Anybody else?
Why is it so green?
Okay.
Exactly.
That's creepy.
I'd be interested to see how the business license is going for you and that kind of stuff. All the taxes and the.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Okay. Going pretty good, eh? Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so analogies to understand self-employment. Shh, okay, quiet down. Okay, being the captain of your own ship. That's a way to understand what self-employment is. You steer where you go, but you are also responsible if you hit the rocks. And you're responsible for the maintenance, and you're responsible for, getting all of the destinations in order for where your ship is going. Gardening, you plant the seed, that's your work. You water them, that's your effort, and you hope that they grow, that's your profit. But weeds or challenges must be handled by you. Okay, it's a kind of a good analogy there. Gardening, plant the seed, you water, you watch the growth, pick the weeds. Freestyle cooking, okay, you choose the recipe, shop for ingredients, and you cook, but if the meal fails, only you deal with it. So that's kind of good. Maybe you can make great meals all the time. Oh, that's awesome. Video game builder, you design levels and characters, release your game, and success depends on your creativity and effort. Any questions about those analogies? All right, and we'll do one more thing here. Let's talk about the chart, the comparison chart. So self-employment versus traditional employment. Who do you work for? In self-employment, you work for yourself. That makes sense. You are employed by yourself. You work for yourself. In traditional employment, you work for an employer or a company. Income type. For self-employment, you earn directly from your work or business, and it can vary. The income type is usually fixed, a fixed salary or hourly wage. So the difference between a salary and a salary is kind of like what you earn per year, and that's evenly spread out with the months or whatever, your pay periods. And a wage is what you make per hour, but your number of hours often vary through seasons or for demand. So a salary is usually like a year. Like, what do you make in a year? That's your salary. What do you make per hour? That's your wage. Work schedule. You decide your hours, so it's fairly flexible. In a traditional employment, that is usually set by your employer, and it's usually pretty fixed. Not always. Not always. You may be an employee, and your hours may be quite variable. You may have an online job that you work for somebody, and you can do all your work on the weekend, and then you can go to school or whatever during the week. That's awesome. But if you work for yourself, generally that is the case where you can set your own hours. Responsibilities to manage finances, marketing, clients, taxes, and quality. And for traditional employment, mainly your assigned tasks. Your employer handles the business management end of it. So there's certainly less risk and less, I would say, a little less responsibility when you're traditionally employed versus self. Risk level, it's higher. Income can be unpredictable. In a traditional employment, it's lower. You get a regular paycheck usually, and benefits may be included as well. The freedom, creativity is high in self-employment. You choose projects, methods, and customers. In traditional employment, it's a little bit limited. You usually follow your employer's rules, and they tell you what to do. Skills developed. for self-employment, business management, marketing, financial planning, problem solving, traditional, it's usually job-specific skills. There's some teamwork, reliability, that kind of thing. You're not doing high-level planning a lot of times. So the examples here, freelance graphic designer, cupcake business owner that we talked about, and traditional would be working at a grocery store or in a restaurant. Okay, and that's that for self-employment. Do you have any questions about this document or about self-employment in general? Yeah.
How does that work with telling the government what you're doing?
Yeah, so you still would file your taxes and that, but you would do business, like you would have a business tax return, and so you would have to, report your income and make sure the taxes are paid, and so it would be different than a personal tax return.
Yeah, because would they tax you on how would they tax you? Would they tax you on your income?
Yeah, so you would, because you're providing a service or a good, then the government will be charging you for all that you sell and on your personal income too, but usually they're separate, the personal income tax return and a business income tax return. So you would deal with the business on its own. So this is the money you made, you have to pay government taxes. The more write-offs that you have you ever heard of business write-offs, you guys? You ever heard of a write-off? So businesses have to pay tax because everything they earn, they have to pay, a certain amount to the government. Well, if they have qualifying tax credits, they're called write-offs. So if you sponsor a team or something, you pay for the jerseys. That paying for the jerseys could be a tax write-off. It could go against. It could be deducted from the income of your business, and you wouldn't owe the government as much tax. Kind of like for personal income tax, if you donate to church or you donate to a cause, a charity, then you don't have to pay the government so much because you paid, into this community program, this qualifying community program. So a write-off would be like expenses for your business. Okay, like I made this much money, but I paid this much in expenses to actually make this money. And so the government says, okay, we understand. You paid for gas, you paid for a vehicle, you paid for office space, you paid for employers, you paid this, blah, 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 blah. So you don't owe us as much tax because those qualify for tax credits. Yeah. Hello.
There's sports jerseys, like the sponsor
Mhm.
sports jerseys. Does that have anything to do with business write-ups?
Yeah, so I was just explaining. So if your business pays for, a charity or gives money to this, or if they, advertise, you get a certain deduction for advertising and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly how it works. I've never owned a business that has bought a team jerseys. But yes, the sponsorship on the jerseys, like usually the companies on the jerseys pay for the jerseys and pay for other expenses for the team. And that can be like a tax write-off. A portion of that can act like a tax credit.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking because is that only like
We can give it to Sarah.